Badass Attitudes, licensed here, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The bus to Badassville is scheduled to come here for you. Pack your stuff. Turn up your energy with Wednesday Wisdom. Here again is Kelly Orchard.
That's right, Badass Attitudes, licensed here. Thank you very much, Mr. Ocean. So, hey, I got a little bit of an issue going on here. So I got some new specs, meaning I got new glasses, and they're a different size on my face. The lens is a little smaller. I'm having a hard time seeing stuff. I guess that's just a product of old age, right? Or getting older and your vision changes and you have to get new prescriptions, and I'm still trying to get adjusted. The reason why I'm saying that is because I got headphones on my ears, which is making the glasses move, and gosh, I can hardly see what I'm supposed to say. I know that doesn't make any sense to you, but I do kind of have some notes in front of me, a script a little bit too, and I can hardly read it. So if I screw up, you'll know why. And that's just my excuse. Well, no, I'll say an explanation. It's not really an excuse. So how are you? Happy Wednesday. Yes, I am now officially back from Texas. You know I pre-record these, so anything that you've heard before today, I pre-recorded before I went to Texas to see my daughter and my grandberries. I'm going to share a little bit about that with you in a few minutes. But this is the month of July, and Wednesday Wisdom covers the second S in Badass. That's right. We are finished with the acronym, and the second S in Badass stands for, well, successfully badass. That's right. I got a couple questions for you. Do you practice well-being in your workplace? You might want to think about that. You know, we all have to have a success mindset, and we do that by taking charge of our mental health. And that's what the podcast for Successful Badassery, along with all these other things that I do, kind of aim to help you do. This is the actual 15th anniversary of my heart failure, which is the event that derailed my entire life and career and finances and set me on this course to become a licensed psychotherapist. Now, I have to remind you that it was 15 years ago, and there's a timeline to the journey. Nothing happens right away just because you chose the D in Badass and you made a decision. You got to stay disciplined, and that's what Heart Lessons is going to be about. This today is lessons in discipline. That's right. So I got Heart Lessons for you. That's right. My book, the very first book that I wrote, I used my journal entries that I was writing already prior to my heart condition, and so it was only natural for me to process all of the facts and the emotions and the events that were going on. And so what I did when I made the decision to go to grad school, and then I started interviewing for jobs after grad school. Now, remember, this is a process. This is several years later. They asked what happened. Because obviously, if I came from a long history in radio broadcasting, and now suddenly I want to work as an intern in mental health for depression. And of course, they asked what happened. So I started sharing my heart story with these other therapists that I was looking for work with, or other mental health facilities, and kept being told, you should write your story. So it was really kind of easy for me to do. Honestly, I'm a writer. I already had all the journal entries, so all the documentation was there. And so that's what Heart Lessons is the lessons that I learned in my life while I was going through this heart crisis. And the purpose of the book, it's a prescriptive memoir. It is me telling my story, but at the end of each chapter, I have tips and tools and things that you can probably try to implement in your life if your life has also been derailed. And these days, whose hasn't? So this month I'm giving away Heart Lessons absolutely free. All you got to do is click the link in the show notes and grab your free copy. That's right, because I am certifying badasses one podcast at a time, and Wednesday Wisdom is skills and drills for certified badasses. Now, here we go. All right. Success mindset is often hard to come by. You know what else is short supply right now? Therapists and counselors. That's right. So you've got to have a badass plan, and you need it now. And at the end of the show, I will let you know about my Badass License to be Badass program. But first, I wanted to share a little bit from Heart Lessons for you. On the last few days, or Wednesdays and Fridays, I've been kind of reading some excerpts for you from my book, hoping to entice that you're going to want to actually just grab that free copy so that you can have it for yourself, and maybe share it with some loved ones who also could benefit from my story and my struggle and how I learned to recover from it and navigate my way through it. That is why I'm here, just to kind of give it to you as well. So we're talking about lessons in discipline. What is the definition of discipline? It's a branch of knowledge or learning, a training that develops self-control, character, or orderliness and efficiency. My heart has been broken countless times. When my brother died, when my marriage failed, when our family business failed, and relationship after relationship let me down in one way or another. I had learned over the course of my life to pick up the pieces and be strong for the sake of raising my family or maintaining a job or continue to build a career. By now, I wasn't even certain that I had a career that I longed for. My heart had broken and put back together so many times that I envisioned it as a fragile teacup that had been chipped and broken so many times that it was only held together with glue. I placed it gently on a shelf and ignored my heart's longing and desire. I wasn't going to open my heart for anything or anyone. I had put my heart high upon a shelf and living day by day with the notion that I was just going to survive. As I wrote in an earlier chapter, I was in survival mood. By no means did I wake up in the morning with an attitude of gratitude. I was merely surviving what life had thrown at me. Remember the definition of discipline. It's a branch of knowledge or learning, training that develops self-control, character, or orderliness. These were exercises in learning what my character was like, and then it was time to be disciplined in new knowledge. I was learning everything I could about the heart while I was in my heart crisis, while also trying to maintain a life that I had created for myself. But it wasn't working anymore. As I've written, I wasn't necessarily unhappy. I wasn't abused or being abusive. I loved my family. I was grateful to be self-employed, and I enjoyed working with my dad, as I always have. But the truth is, I really wanted to be an author. I wanted to write my stories and felt called to do it, but kept postponing it. I knew God was calling me, but I kept letting it go to voicemail. I began reading everything I could get my hands on, books that helped answer the questions on how our mind and body are all connected. It became part of my discipline process. Mind, body, and spirit became my discipline. The following authors write on the same basic principles of science, biology, and physiology, which affects psychology. Jesus Christ, Change Your Brain by Dr. Amen, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Dr. Phil, Tony Robbins, Suzanne Summers, Gary Zukov, Joan Borisenko's Mending the Body, Minding the Soul, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Dr. Hugh Ross, Joyce Myers. I discovered that my new interests were in medical conditions and the psychology of a medical crisis, as well as the exploration of Christianity and biblical teaching in a context of how this medical crisis affects the mental and spiritual attitudes and behavior of the patient. What this discipline taught me was that I had experienced the trifecta of mind, body, and spirit. Through my studies, I learned how the mind, body, and spirit out of cooperation affects everything. Then I learned how in cooperation things improve. Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for it affects everything you do. The following were poems that helped me through. I didn't write it, okay, but I typed it up and I put it on my refrigerator. I tried to find the author, but I'm going to share it with you here anyway in hopes that the words will help you. And by the way, if you know who the author is, don't hesitate to let me know. It says, I received everything I needed. If God allowed us to go through life without any obstacles, it would cripple us. We would not be as strong as we could have been. I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties so I could become strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked for prosperity, and God gave me brain and brawn to work. I asked for courage, and God gave me danger to overcome. I asked for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. I asked for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I received nothing I wanted, yet I received everything I needed. In order to understand my discipline, or actually, in order for you to understand discipline, you must practice patience. And that is a lesson that we must learn on a daily basis. So, first of all, how about detect what is the discipline that you need most right now? And then define that. What level of importance do you place on this discipline? And then determine. Determine that discipline is not a punishment, but helpful instruction. So then how will you benefit from this discipline? Alrighty, now we're on to improving your knowledge, defining moments, and learning style. Remember that success mindset and that therapists and counselors are in short supply. I do have a badass plan for you. What is it that you need? So first of all, I want to tell you tales from Texas. So if you follow me on social media, you've probably seen a few of the pictures that I posted. But my trip was delayed on the very first day, on the first leg. My flight was supposed to leave at 8:40 in the morning. And I had gotten a notice that it was delayed until 9:10. No big deal. Okay, it's half an hour. But when I got it checked in and I checked my baggage, because I wasn't doing a carry-on, I was going to be gone for a whole week. I wanted to have my baggage checked, paid the extra fee. Baggage goes. I go over to the gate, but I don't have a seat assignment. And, the gate is pretty full of people everywhere. And short story, or make a long story short for you, for your benefit. You're welcome. They were making announcements throughout the wait that they were looking for some passengers that would be willing to go on a different flight who could be flexible with their travel plans, because the plane was oversold. Well, I didn't want to be flexible with my travel plans. I bought my ticket over a month ago, and my family was waiting for me. All the arrangements were made, and I'm sorry, I'm on my way to see my grandchildren. And that's like a kid going to Disneyland for me. So, no, I didn't want to wait. Lo and behold, I wasn't given a choice because clearly nobody else did. And for some reason, I was the unwitting victim of getting bumped from a flight I had booked a month earlier. I was literally not a happy camper. I was heading out to Texas to go camping. So I was not a happy camper. In fact, for a badass, I kind of lost a little bit of my steam, but I'm human. So it's like maybe I'm giving you permission to every once in a while, you might lose your mind on something. But I mean, imagine, the plane is loading up. My bag is on that plane with all of my stuff. And now they're telling me that maybe they can get me on another flight from another airline that has a layover. It'll take me 5 more hours. Or then they couldn't get that one done. And so then maybe they could do this one. Oh, but it leaves in 45 minutes. We don't have enough time to get you on the flight. So the only other option was to wait until another flight at 8 p.m., almost 12 hours later from when I was supposed to leave. Well, there was not quite. I'm not really proud of my behavior at the very beginning when I got mad. Of course, I was shocked. And then I collected myself. I pulled myself together. I did. Very shortly after. I only yelled at one person one time, and I didn't go storming through the airport. I have a little bit more self-control than that. But who wouldn't be disappointed and kind of lose it for a second, right? And the reason I'm telling you this particular story is because you're human. I'm human. And sometimes when things don't go as we planned, even something, I don't know, for me, this was pretty big. But I did have to pull myself together and pull back and regroup and function, get functioning again and realize, okay, I made an alternate plan. I made my arrangements. I accepted the situation. There was nothing I could do about it. So I made the best of it. I learned how to make the best of it. What did I do? Well, fortunately, my son was the one who dropped me down at the airport in San Diego, and he was still in town. So even though it had been a couple of hours since he left me there, he was still there. So I called him up. He came and got me. We went out to a restaurant. It's still in the morning. I just enjoyed a nice Bloody Mary. I did a little bit of work that I would have been doing when I was in Texas anyway, and just kind of like regrouped and refocused. And then when I got to the airport, back to the airport, start all over with that whole wait process. Yes, I didn't get in to see to Texas until 1 a.m. And I missed out on, a half a day with my grandkids. However, the airlines did make it up for me financially, so it worked out in my benefit. It was a free trip. Not only a free trip, it's as if they paid me to go to Texas. So that's one of the tales from Texas I wanted to share with you. And it's kind of like, being successfully badass doesn't necessarily mean that you don't get in a bad mood or you don't have a bad day and that you're always having a badass attitude. But what it does mean is that when something happens that kind of minorly derails your plans or massively derails your plans, remember this: your body doesn't know the difference. Stress is stress. It doesn't matter how big the stress is or how little the stress is. It's still going to have the same impact on your body. So I really want to impress upon you that manage it. Get it managed for yourself, because first of all, your reputation is at stake as well, badass. And second of all, you got to get it together. And that's part of this successful badassery, is using the tools that you've been learning while you've been on this journey with me, as you've been on the bus to Badassville. If you're new to the podcast, I really highly encourage you to scroll back to some of the other ones and listen to them. They're 20 minutes or less, and so therefore you can get through quite a bit and get caught up. I mean, I've gone through the entire BADASS acronym. In July, we're doing the second S in badass, which is successfully badass. So that was, so basically, how can you remain badass when your plans are derailed? So whether it takes big stress or little stress, your brain and body don't know the difference. So pick your battles. Reduce stress when it's not that big. So how did I handle this minor issue? Well, it was really huge for me. I've been planning the trip for over a month and made all the arrangements early. Really looking forward to seeing my two Granberries. I call them Granberries. Yes, my Granberries, Finley and Olivia. Finley is 4. He'll be 5 in October. And Olivia, well, actually, today she's 3 now. She just turned 3. So I was kind of going out there to have a little birthday celebration with her. So, of course, I was upset when I got bumped from my plane, only to learn that my fee, that basically because it was the lowest rate, I missed a small print that says that I agree to be bumped if the plane is oversold. That won't be happening again. So I wasn't happy and I wasn't feeling very badass at the moment, but I did manage to turn it around. But it took awareness, which is the second A in badass, for me to understand how I was feeling. Then it took the effort and the discipline for me to kind of get through it. And then the humbleness to know that it wasn't the employee's fault. So the employee that I got upset with, we had a dialogue, and I apologize for getting mad at her. It was not her fault, and she did her best to take care of me. So now the time in Georgetown was great. I spent a week there. The weather, okay, Texas weather, not Southern California weather, for sure. Not that I haven't traveled, but I've not spent that much time in Texas in the summer. It was pretty hot and wickedly humid, let me tell you. I already have curly hair, but it was over with for me and with my hair. So I had to wear it up a lot. In fact, I had to actually go shopping for some new shirts because the t-shirts that I brought just weren't going to cut it. I had to go out and do some, shopping, but okay, that's all right. Had a great time with my grandkids. My daughter and her husband live in an RV park. So, we had ample access to a big swimming pool, and it was fun. I was still able to do telehealth. I was able to still work while I did that. That's one of the benefits of what happened with COVID, is that telehealth became essential. And so I was able to spend a few days with family, but still not abandon my clients. And so for me, that was awesome. It's like, so how can you maintain balance? Because this is with me maintaining balance. I was still able to work and take care of my clients, which is extremely important to me, but also be able to go and spend some quality time with family, even though they live out of the area. The idea of working hard has really shifted, hasn't it? COVID and the lockdowns, the unemployment, with your own health scares, it's caused us all to sort of reflect and rethink how we want to approach life, right? So I was already equipped for this, honestly, because of the tools that I've acquired along the journey after my life was derailed with the heart failure. That was 15 years ago. I don't know exactly what it is that you need, but now I know exactly what it is that I need. And that's why I share that with you freely. Some things that I do for myself aren't necessarily going to be a tool that would work for you. But that's okay, because I got plenty of tools to hand you. It's sort of like you're working on a piece of wood project and I hand you a shovel. Okay, well, you don't need the shovel now, but hang on to that shovel because later on you might be working on something in the dirt. So now let me just give you a hammer. That's kind of how psychotherapy goes. It's a matter of providing you with tools that you can pick up and learn. And that's what I do with my Badass certification class. And that is what I'm now offering in my License to Be Badass program. So for Wednesday Wisdom, we do skills and drills for certified badasses. And oftentimes I share some music with you because, music imprints on your brain more than anything else. And what I do is I teach you to create your own badass soundtrack, which these are songs that you attach to warm and happy memories or memories that can give you a sense of appreciation, confidence, bravery, whatever it is. And that's what I teach you in the Badass certification class. I use methods from solution focused and heart math and neuroscience and cognitive behavioral therapy. I am a licensed psychotherapist, but I'm also a radio baby. And so I can't help myself but use music and dance and fun in what I do. So I just kind of wanted to share some lyrics with you today from Elton John. I'm still standing, because we are still standing. You are successfully badass. So here's just a little bit. You never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold, lonely night that shines from you. You'll wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. Now consider this, we're not talking to a human being. Maybe we're talking about your recent derailing, the recent crisis, okay? So, and did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me. I'm back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. Remember, the you in this is your crisis. All right. So many times I've been asked about my program and is it accessible online? And I am pleased to say that yes, it is now. The License to Be Badass program is designed to give you just the right attitude adjustment you need to grow and succeed, and the tools required for perpetual growth to maintain your license to be your badass self. So if you're ready to be licensed to be badass, I just want you to know I've pulled together different psychotherapy methods from cognitive behavioral therapy, solution-focused, narrative, and strategic methods to build you a toolbox that will help you identify your strengths to grow confidence, identify your goals, and cultivate positive measures to get there, weed out what's not working in your life so you can fertilize and grow what is working, prune back old behaviors and unrealistic expectations to make way for success. Plant new seeds of personal and professional growth. Create an action plan for success. Focus on what's important right now so that you can live intentionally, learn your true purpose and passion, gain clarity and competence and new skills, and achieve your ultimate goal. Remember, BADASS is an acronym, and the License to Be Badass program provides you with videos and worksheets that take you through each course. All right? So here's the deal. License to Be Badass, flipping the format on the fear of failure, will teach you, guide you, and grow you, your family, and your team in a way that will flip their fears and feeling stuck, increase fun and creativity, engage, and give you the renewed energy you need to grow and thrive. All right, everybody, Kelly Orchard's Wednesday Wisdom. I am the Badass Certifier, and this was skills and drills for certified badasses, getting you through the month of July, which is always a challenge for me, but because I have you along on this bus to Badassville, it's so much more enjoyable. I am giving away my book, Heart Lessons, absolutely free. All you got to do is just download it. Click the link in the show notes, and it is all yours. So take it away, Mr. Ocean.
Grab your Badass Habits ebook. Get started on your badass journey. Go to licensed2bebadass.com. Friday again, we turn up the energy. Tune in and tune up. Be bold, be brave, be confident, Be badass.